Welcome again to Cottage Talk. I am Russ Goldman. Joining me are the guys from the Hammersmith end, along with Suhail. And Kamal will be joining us at some point during the show. But this is our view of what happened. Fulham's 2-1 loss to Crystal Palace. I did a full-time show. I did a 5 takeaway show. I guess you could say I was very angry after that. That was my view. This is their view. They were there. So I'm going to get their view on what they watched. And if you are watching this on YouTube, on Facebook, and also on my X account, thank you for joining us. But if you want to listen to the podcast, it is actually exclusive on the Cottage Talk Patreon page. If you're interested, please do go to patreon.com/Cottage Talk. You can see the scroll if you're watching it. So if you want to listen back to it, that's where you can actually get it. Become a member. We would love to have you join us. Okay. All right, guys, let's go to opening thoughts. So I'll go to you first, Matt. Thank you for joining us tonight. How you doing?
I'm all right, Russ. You know, it's Crystal Palace at home, so I didn't expect anything other than a frustrating, quite impressive Palace performance. I thought we huffed and puffed. I thought it was a very even game. But, you know, before the game, I'd predicted 1-1. I think the game probably merited a draw.
Yeah, I agree.
But, you know, I reflect on another game where we didn't make their goalkeeper work hard enough. You know, our efficiency against Manchester City was great, but other than Sunderland this season and Wolves, who don't count, as we're seeing again evidence this evening, you know, I don't think we've really worked a goalkeeper over all season, and I think that is a thing that Marco really needs to think about, along with the rest of the leadership of the club in January.
Yeah. Listen, Matt, that is actually a very good criticism to come out of it. Didn't work the goalkeeper really much at all, except for some really decent opportunities, and we'll talk about that during the show. But I would agree with that. They were comfortable. They know who they are. I'm talking about Crystal Palace. I think that they're the same team from last season. I thought we had a better chance this season, but it wasn't to be. Alex, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Russ. Not too bad. Bit of a cold, but I'm all right.
Okay. Well, listen, I look forward to getting your views of what you watched. I'm sure you're as disappointed as I am.
I don't know if that's possible, Russ, but I'll certainly try
to. Well, yeah, probably not. I'm probably the most disappointed person probably that is going to be doing the show. But, you know, it is what it is. I don't know why I convinced myself that we could actually win this match, but I did.
I was with you. I was very confident for the game.
Yeah, and it just, you know, to Matt's point, they didn't create nearly enough as they probably should have. And defensively, some of those issues are still there. It's as simple as that. So, Hal, how you doing? We don't have your brother, good. But we have the better brother. Oh,
the smarter brother.
The smarter brother.
Well, the smarter brother. And
well, guess what?
I've seen the knowing smiles from Matt, and he showed up. Yeah. I was just insulting you, Kamal. Now I got to stop the insults. Damn it!
I'll watch it later. Are we in? Yeah. Oh my God, I'll watch it.
Oh no, you're here.
I'll get my own back.
Kamal.
Yeah, just my opening thoughts. I had dinner tonight with another Fulham fan, another guy. I'm trying to bring in your subscriber count.
Thank you,
Ross. His name's Michael, another lawyer. I had a chat with him tonight about the way we played. And I'm a slight dissenter here, actually, because I thought we played pretty well. And I think that game turned on one event. The disallowed goal. If that had stood, we'd have won 4-1, 5. I'm convinced of it, because when that goal went in, you saw the Palace heads drop, the shoulders drop, and I thought, right, we're about to turn the screw. And of course, it didn't. G'd them up, and we all know what happened after that. So I disappointed by the result. There's lots of other things you can talk about performance, but I thought we played well, and I thought some of our failings come about because of what Marco did in the second half. But I'm sure we'll get to that.
We certainly will, guys. Kamal, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
I'm good. How is everybody? I hope everybody's still not feeling like they were at the final whistle.
I think they're, you know, a little down, but as we've all established, not as angry as me. So I'm still angry.
Yeah, me and Alex listened to the show on the drive back, and we were kind of like, we just realised Tony Gold is just so passionate. He just lets it all out like a volcano.
Yeah, he doesn't hold back. He doesn't
He'll
hold
love
back.
Fulham after they win again, I suspect.
Absolutely, absolutely. Guys, before we move on, I actually want to take what Suhail said and actually talk a little bit about it. I found it interesting. Matt, first to you. I want to go to the other guys as well. What do you make of what Suhail just said? If that goal is allowed, which actually was the right call, that was a turning point in the match. Do you agree that maybe things might have been different there?
Completely. I think I recognize entirely that period for about 20 minutes after half time, we were completely dominant. They didn't have a way of stemming the flow. You know, Bassi was pressed right up and Castagna was out wide, and Chukwueze at that point was just running riot. So it felt like one would bring two or three. So I completely agree with Suhail. We needed to score in that period.
Agreed.
And you know, what I've seen on social media and a bit of commentary is all around how Marco Silva stuffed everything up with his changes. Honestly, when Nketiah went off and Jefferson Lerma came on, it changed their shape entirely. I said it at the time that, you know, they completely regained control.
Right.
I thought the two best players on the pitch by some distance were Wharton and Kamada in their midfield anyway.
Wharton was
Lerma
excellent.
I thought Kamada was. I haven't seen that much of him. I thought he was quietly really efficient with the ball, and his capacity to find Tyreek Mitchell in space with regularity was, I'm afraid, the downside of playing Iwobi in midfield. And that for all of our, you know, creative verve, and I thought Iwobi in the first half particularly was sensational.
Yep.
And again, at the heart of everything good that we did. The downside is he was, you know, it was on his side, and his counterpart is Kamada, and Kamada grew and grew into the game, and ended up, you know, they ended up winning that game in the midfield. But I completely agree with Suhail's assessment that had we scored and had that goal stood, I think we would have gone on to win the game.
Okay, and that's an interesting way to really start the show. Alex, I want to get your thoughts because you were there, and then I'll go to Kamal. Do you feel similarly to Suhail and Matt that, listen, if that counts, and deflating how that must have been at Craven Cottage?
Yeah, I mean, so I 100% agree with all the points that are made. I know we want to have some arguments here, but I mean, it's so definitely the case. Like at halftime, it was 1-1. I'd predicted 3-1 at the start of the game, and I was like, actually, I'm very comfortable with this. We've gone to go down, but we've come back. I felt they were going to tire. We said before at the end of the last show, Crystal Palace are tiring. They've played too many games. They're going to tire. And you know, they didn't have Munoz, which was a massive bonus for us at the start of the game. He's a huge part of the energy that they rely on. So I was just really confident at half time. And when we scored that goal, I was 100% sure I was going to be right. It was 3-1. That's the way the game was going. We were so in control at that point. It was all us. They were deflated. You know, it was as completely at that point. And obviously what's really, really frustrating is it's a VAR decision on a toenail where it just adds there's no advantage gained at all. It's just so annoying, so ridiculously annoying. And it completely changed the game. I do agree as well with Suhail's point around the subs. You know, Matt's right. They also changed it. It wasn't just that the subs were wrong, but I do think they were wrong. ESR, you know, was very, very, very good, and we missed it.
I'm sorry. What did you say? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did I hear that right?
Third game in a row.
Third game in a row. Alex, third game in a row.
Yeah. So he was really good. I mean, we missed him, and of course you can look to what they did, as Matt said. But I do think we lost. Our subs weren't right on the day, and we lost control of that second half, and it was a game that was pretty much won, and we managed to lose it.
Okay, excellent. How about you, Kamal? What did you think of when you were there, when you saw the situation?
I don't agree with my brother on this occasion because, I mean, we scored the goal. It was a toe out. I have to disagree. Because one thing that everybody's overlooking is how blunt a team we are. We are a blunt team. We don't have a fresh striker up front. Where are our goals going to come from? And we had, before that goal came in, we had attack after attack after attack. And what went in? Nothing.
That's
so
right.
let's be, I'm more on, I've got to lean towards Goldisms today, but he managed to, talk about everybody I agree what he said about Kevin. Kevin was just waste space when he came on. Iwobi was blunt today. I do agree with ESR, what my mate Alex says, but
Yeah.
I instantly saw that both Berger and Lukic weren't on the team at the same, weren't on the pitch at the same time. So we were going to play attacking football, but if we think as Fulham fans we're going to go in and we're going to pile over a team that is now fourth, we've got to recheck what we're doing, and we've
Right.
got to get our checkbooks out in January and go and see the doctor and lie down on the couch a bit.
Well, listen, the one big point that Tony was making during the show, and I would have to agree when we did full time along with Max, is that we desperately need a striker. I actually said that in my 5 takeaways. I can't agree more because Raul Jimenez I thought should have been taken off and probably really needed to be taken off, but he wasn't. And I thought he picked up a knock. You guys were there. We can talk about that when we get to the second half, but they simply just don't have enough scoring right now to be in a situation like this, like when one goal is going to be the difference. And what's interesting, guys, and I'll just share this and then we'll go into your takes, is that what I was listening to was basically beginning of the second half when Fulham were really dominating the play at the beginning of the second half. The talk was they need to score. And then, of course, they do score, but it turns out to be a disallowed goal. It was the right call, but it was a toe. And that's the frustrating part. When you see it and it's literally a toe is the difference. It's very frustrating. And it changed the match. So I'm glad that Matt brought that back because I don't – that's part of the story of this match is the disallowed goal. And it changes everything. And it's part of the game. So, guys, let's talk about your talk before the match began. And Alex, I'll go to you. And I always like to get your thoughts on what you guys were talking about, especially with the starting 11. And as you can imagine, I was happy with it because I was saying I saw Chikwueze was starting. Then I saw that it wasn't going to be Berg and Lucas. I'm like, oh, good. But then I looked a little bit further and Sessegnon was not there. And then I was thinking, uh-oh, what is going to happen here? Was that what's going through your mind?
A little bit, yeah. Obviously, like you, I was very pleased to see Iwobi in midfield. I was pleased to see Chukwueze starting. I agree. I actually thought ESR played well enough last game that he deserved to keep his slot. Not that King's done anything wrong, but I was like, yeah, I'm fine with all of this. The loss of Cess for me was more than offset by the loss of Munoz for him. Yeah. I mean, Matt's talked before about Munoz like being the only player we've really seen that has the energy to keep up with Robinson. And I was worried for Cess. Obviously, Castagna didn't exactly wouldn't have set my fears at ease. But because Munoz wasn't there, it was Nathaniel Klein. I was like, happy days. That's a trade-off.
So you thought it offset it? You thought
absolutely. More than offset it. I was like, that's fine. So I was just, before the game, very confident. Genuinely extremely confident. I thought Palace are a bit of a wounded animal. I know that sounds ridiculous now, seeing as they're in the top 4 and they've had their best start ever. But it just felt with Glasner sounding off the other week, and the amount of games they've got, and they have lost Etse, don't forget. Without Munoz there, I thought they're here for the taking today. And I do think they were, to be honest. We just, found a way to mess it up. But the feeling before the game was very positive for me.
Okay. How about you, Matt?
I agree. I mean, everything Alex said. Munoz is the only player from Crystal Palace, that I think is just athletically better than anyone we've got. I think probably including Robinson. And I mean, you flip it around. Imagine Robinson in their system.
Oh yeah.
With the wing backs, Robinson on the left, Munoz on the right would be absolutely incredible. I was fine enough with the team that we picked. It was what I think all of us expected. Question mark over ESR versus Josh King, but certainly no objection on that front. I went in feeling reasonably confident, but I thought it'd be a 1-1 draw, 2 good teams. I thought Mateta from the kickoff looked tired, which was not unhelpful for us. I mean, he really did look like he was running on empty. Eddie Nketiah, despite his apparent regularity of scoring against us, I think back to last-minute equalisers for Arsenal or the, needless third in the FA Cup last season. He seems like someone who just has the wood over us, as we say over here. I was perfectly comfortable with our setup. I thought we had options off the bench to change it if we needed to. This being said, other than ESR's chance, that we were reliant on, probably our goal of the season to get us back into the game is, to what Kamal says, we're quite a blunt team. It's a concern, right? We don't have enough goal threat. Chukwueze, I thought, looked busy and capable of beating his man throughout the game, and that was very entertaining. But we need it to turn into end product. There's no criticism on him. It's more, if he's running past everyone, we need other people's movement to be good. And I would humbly suggest that other than Wilson, we've got a fairly immobile front five. They're all really good ball players, but actually making runs beyond or neat runs, into space. I think Wilson's probably the only one that does that out of our front five and our options, and that's what we should be looking at when we go for a striker in January. I'm not sure that I agree with Brian's take that Josh Sargent is the answer, but
I don't think so. I see too much of Josh Sargent. That's not. I'm sorry, not the answer. But
Josh Sargent feels like someone who might be. I think Brian is a
secret Norwich fan.
No, I think he's a St. Louis. Is he in St. Louis? Maybe Josh Sargent can head back that way.
Yeah, listen. Nothing against Josh Sargent, but I've watched him probably more than most, and I will just tell you that he's okay, but he's a championship striker. He's not.
He feels like a nice guy rather than someone I want to sign.
I've been with, but not signed.
Okay, very good. All right, Kamal and Suhail, I'll have you guys join me together, and I'd like to hear from both of you what you guys were thinking. I'll go to Suhail first.
Age before beauty. There you go.
Just don't forget, he's the cooler one and I'm the smarter one. So let's just, I was talking to, I was quietly confident going in. Me and Alex, remember I said to you, Alex, this is a great time to play Palace because, they've not been in great form and they're now playing Thursday, Sunday, and, it is clear they tire in the second half. So I was quietly confident. I predicted 2-1, but 2-1 to us. And right. I didn't have any problems when I saw the team. The only concern, obviously, like everyone else, was where was Sessegnon. And I think Tony Gold texted sort of saying, is he injured? And then Ivan Berry on field then said, he's Sessegnon's injured. That's why Castagne's in. I didn't have any issues. As I say, quietly comfortable that we were going to do okay. And I had no problems with ESR starting because I'd heard that he'd done very well against City. So no real issues. I will say one thing, and we'll talk about this when we get through the match. In my view, Palace were playing for a point there. They were playing for a point after we equalised, and that's the most galling thing about this loss. But we'll talk about that in due course. So.
Okay, very good. How about you, Kamal?
I thought, this is Alex kept asking me, what's your prediction? What's your prediction? What's your prediction? Maybe like 52 times, and I didn't want to say it. And then I said 1-1, and then I was forced. I had to say, make a celebratory observation. 2-1. I really didn't believe that. And the reason I didn't believe it is that we were playing Glasner, and Glasner knows how to pick us apart.
He does,
even when he's at down at an edge. And I thought, okay, the other thing is Alex kept saying Munoz is not playing. Okay, the best player isn't playing. But then I looked at the team, and it was not a team that I'd seen play together ever, that system. And Chukwueze had come in. He's a great player, but he's good as he's so far been good as an emergency man, but starting from the beginning. And I thought we're going to have a lot of energy, but I wanted to see how we actually managed to adapt to what Glasner had come up with. And I did notice that Holly, a lovely Holly who sits with us, Holly and Ben, had said the score. What did she say?
3-2. 3-2.
And her face slowly wilted. And she said, I didn't know which way it was going to be around. But I wasn't positive. I just wanted to see how they were going to play in 20 minutes. And we know that the Fulham that turns up, we saw a Man City match. It's every match, which Fulham will turn up. Right. And what has Marco said, and what do they know, and how do they feel when they go on the pitch?
Okay, I'm going to share this comment because we're talking about striker. I don't know what you guys think about this. I'm just going to put it out there and get your feedback. Matt, Ivan Toney, would you even consider it?
Yeah,
Matt, you would. Okay.
I would. Look, I'd rather we went for someone who we're not going to have to. Like when Muniz comes back, I want Muniz to come back and be our starting striker. And I think the problem with getting a big name like Ivan Toney or back in is that he'll be wanting to play for his World Cup spot. He will insist, probably contractually, in being the starting striker. You know, when everyone's fit, he'll be chosen. So assuming he's fit, he gets to start, and he'll be able to make that insistence wherever he looks. Right? If he's looking at teams around us, Leeds would give him that deal, and they would start him. They would start him every week. So yes, to a point. I'd like us to find someone in between Ivan Toney and Josh Sargent, which feels like quite a wide spectrum that we're working with here.
I hear you, Matt.
I would consider it, but I would prefer that we played for the longer game than just the next 6 months.
Very good point. How about you, Alex? We'll go around to everyone.
I would definitely take Ivan Toney. I think he's really good. I bet, as I believe his initials are. So yeah, no, that would be great. Darwin Núñez, I think, is also at a bit of a loose end in Saudi at the moment. But also,
that one I prefer.
What's that? Sorry.
That one I prefer. That's between Ivan Toney and Josh Sargent.
I would be Matt. I'm with you. I'm going to agree with Matt. I'd be all in on Darwin Núñez.
Yeah, he'd be great. I mean, the Hammersmith end would love Darwin. You know, the application of the guy alone, and I do think he's a brilliant footballer as well. So, either of those, I'd be absolutely delighted with. Take him in a heartbeat. Yeah.
Okay. So, Hale?
Yeah, I'd take Ivan Toney and I'd give him that deal. I'd have no problems with that because
it's not your money. I get it. It's not your money.
Yeah, we need someone who can score, and that's the biggest issue. He can score. He's a real threat, and he's someone who scares the defense. I'd take him in a heartbeat. I'd also throw out. Anyone consider Mitrovic on loan from Qatar? Anyone consider that? Because that would fit Matt's criteria too. So that's someone else. Toney or Mitrovic would be the ones I'd be looking at.
I think the difference. So Toney has a World Cup spot to play for. You know, at the moment, England's third striker is probably Liam Delap, and that's he keeps getting injured. So at the moment, I would say it's probably between Danny Welbeck and anyone else who can play up front and is English. If Ivan Toney's going to come to the Premier League, he'll insist on starting. Mitrovic, Serbia aren't there. Yeah, he probably would just come back for the vibes and the good times and the romance.
Yeah. And he'd be a great. He's the guy that the type of guy we want.
He and Muniz know each other to be able to manage that rotation.
Yeah, that would work.
Mitro, I like. Crazy. Bit of redemption.
That wouldn't be so crazy. Okay, so now I go to the filmmaker. What would you do?
What would I do? It'd be like an epic return. It would be like the trilogy that you never wanted. Right? They would just like bring an old player back and. You got a bit of Ted Lasso going on there, but I would take Toney in a heartbeat. When you started talking about Ivan Toney, I thought about how Mitro and Toney were great rivals.
Yeah, they were.
At the time, Mitro was even saying, like, he's copying my celebration. He can do it, but he just copies me. But he's not me. But I would agree with the guys are saying. I would love Mitro back. I think all of you know that I was just hankering that he was going to come back to the Premier League, but I don't think they had. It's cash that motivates him, and I'm not sure.
That's not true. Actually, that he did inquire. The story was in the summer he inquired about coming back to Fulham, and he was told no, we don't want you. So he wanted to come back, but and then I think Sunderland offered him, and he turned them down because he said he didn't want to ruin the relationship he had with Fulham fans. So
I think it's also the cost because I think he was getting 340. And I don't think we could match. I mean, he was asked for something silly, but
but if you're talking maybe a short-term situation,
the thing about both Toney and Mitrovic, which are good, is that you wouldn't really need them to fit into a team. The team would play around them.
Right.
And they play what I love, which is direct football. Which is
we know you don't like ticky-tack. That's been established.
And this is what Palace played the other day. The chances, the opportunities. And I always was worried whenever they got the ball because they were playing direct.
They were. You are 100% right. Kamal. Okay, so let's get to talking about the match. In regards to the first half, so what I'm going to do is, Matt, I'll go to you first because I actually want to give Alex the honor of talking about the goal because I know how much, I have to give it to Alex, but unfortunately, Matt, I'm going to give you the opportunity to talk about the goal.
Alex can do Eddie Nketiah's goal. I'll do Harry Wilson's. How does that
sound? So unfortunately, Matt, I'm going to give you Nketiah's goal. Okay. So
yeah.
Give me your thoughts on this because up to that point, it's an even match. And it's funny because Nketiah stole the ball away because it wasn't intended for him. It wasn't intended for him. The pass wasn't supposed to go to him. And kudos to him. But is this a Fulham error here?
I don't know. Sometimes you just got to say, look, the movement was pretty good. I think if you're going to blame anybody, you probably say Anderson.
No.
Overcommits to the run. I think Kenny Tete maybe could have been tighter to Nketiah, but I think the first half and the second half were one and the same thing, which is that we dominated the first. It was a shorter period in the first half, but the first 10 minutes, we'd clocked up 5 corners within 10 minutes.
That's right. That's a good point.
We had our advantage, and we didn't press it home. I can't remember when the Smith Rowe chance came about, but I think that was a little later.
Yeah,
there are some goals that you look back on and you think, okay, there's a couple of things we might have done differently. I don't think there's any criminal error in this goal. The reality is, football teams score goals. You can find fault with pretty much everything. Maybe the Dean Henderson should have been better set to stop Harry Wilson's. The reality is sometimes they're just good goals.
Yeah,
I think Nketiah's movement is, apart from anything else, he was on the wrong side for where he normally plays, right? Nketiah was playing central to right, and Yeremy Pino was the sort of left side of forward, and Nketiah is coming from the left, so he's a bit out of position. We got a bit stretched. I would have liked, at the time watching it, I've seen it back since, and I think maybe I'm harsh. I thought Leno was a bit slow down to it. If I had a criticism, but I don't know. To me, it felt one of those fairly smooth goals that, Adam Wharton's involvement in it. I'll accept the second pass might have been intended for someone else, but his first pass to open up the play, he was too quick for us. And as I said at the start, I think they wanted in midfield, and some of that was just Wharton's pace on the ball was just much better than any of us could cope with.
He was very good. I now understand why all the big clubs, the big six, want him. I get it after watching that. I've not really seen him that much to really make a judgment. I think I can make a judgment. He's very good, and I could see why the other clubs are interested in him. Okay, Alex, I'm going to give it to you. So I just want to set this up. I want to tell you what I heard on the broadcast. Okay, one of the announcers that was doing the broadcast compared it this way. Says that all my time of being at Craven Cottage, the only goal I've seen better, this is what one of the announcers said, was Clint Dempsey's chip against Juventus. That's high praise for this goal. So I'm giving it to you. I know, love to talk about Harry Wilson, and it was a phenomenal goal, but it was a team goal too.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, it was complete in many ways. I think everybody, all our outfield players touched the ball in the move. I think maybe I'm not sure if I think they all did. Anyway, there's certainly a long passage of play, 13, 14, 15 passes, gloriously moving the ball around the pitch, completely in control, and then wonderful Welsh wizardry. I mean, twice he pops up into a little hole just outside the box. First time he doesn't get it. Second time he's got half a yard outside of the foot. Paced return by Raul as well. Straight away, super intelligent, and it's Messi-esque. I mean, it's the kind of goal you only usually see Messi scoring, just because it's so quick, it's so precise. It's just like he's playing the game on a different level for a moment there. And I did think that, literally Wilson had been, taken up to the dragon gods for a moment, and Messi's spirit was put inside him, because it was a moment of sublime Welsh prowess. That was a joy to be there for. I loved it.
Okay, excellent. So Fulham are now 1-1, and now I'm going to go to the brothers. I'm going to go to Kamal first. So Kamal, it's 1-1, and basically, what did you make of the half? I'm going to give you overall view of the half, and how did you feel before we get to talking about what you guys thought about at halftime?
I mean, you touched upon something which I've thought for a couple of weeks, is that maybe Leno's off the beat a little bit. He's a bit not slow, but he's not reading the game as well as he was last year. What did I think of the half? I thought it was very competitive. I didn't think that we dominated at all. I did think, when they scored their goal, it was a bit of a cluster, whatever, inside. And it should maybe never have actually happened. I think it was rude down to mistakes. But the wonder goal by Wilson, so we all clapped Alex on the back when he scored.
Yep.
As if it was him who was scoring.
Yeah, it was actually Alex.
It was my birthday, Russ, so he did it for me.
It was his birthday. So
Oh, by the way, I want to wish a happy birthday to
Thank you.
Giannis. It's Giannis's birthday today. So I want to wish you happy birthday on the show.
Okay.
Sorry. But a happy birthday to you, Alex. Sorry.
Thank
you
you.
saw you're both quite similar, so that's quite cool. That's my little comment there. That's actually, but Giannis, you're a beautiful guy. So I thought that, by the way, he cooked us a really nice dinner that night. So thank you for that. Cooked us some lamb. He cooked us for his birthday, which is
Too much food again.
That's a wonder, man. That's a Welsh wizard.
Okay,
So,
okay. Enough with the food talk. Continue.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't think that we were, we weren't dominating. I thought it was a very edgy game. I also thought it was a bit of relief when half time came, because it was almost like watching a thriller, but there was no murder. And when was something going to happen? When was it going to sway? But we did come out to kill in the second half. But
We did, and we'll talk about that. Thank you very much. There, come
over
on,
to my brother.
Well, Can you give me a chance to go to him? With do you have to jump in? Suhail, sorry for your brother.
No. I was actually quite comfortable. I'm sorry for him too, but I've had a lifetime of that. I just say I was talking to Alex and Matt at half time, and I think Kamal, you were in it too. Just huddled together. We were all fairly comfortable, I think, at that first half. And I remember we were all thinking we're quite confident of the second half. I should say, I mean, Alex has talked about the wonder goals. I won't add to that, but the Crystal Palace goal was a really good goal. I mean, initially I thought it was a real mess up on our part, but then when I watched it back, what happens is I think it's Mateta does a dummy run across Anderson, who follows Mateta, which opens up the gap for Nketiah to come through. So, I mean, I full credit to Crystal Palace on that goal. If anyone was to blame, I think Matt's alluded to it, it was Leno. I thought Leno could have done a bit better with trying to save it. But having said that, once we pulled ourselves back in, Russ, I didn't think. I thought we were going to win this game, and I said that to the guys.
I felt the same way, honestly.
Yeah.
I think the only thing, that this is a, the title of the show, View from the Hammersmith End. At the time, there was the challenge, I think, by Anderson that I said at the time, I think that's a penalty and will get brought back for VAR. And I've only seen one replay of it, but to me, that looks like one that if that had been us on the receiving end of that, I'd have wanted a penalty for that. And I think most of the commentators have said that looks a lot like a foul on the line or just inside the box.
I've seen that several times, Matt. I'm still not sure about that.
Fine, but that we've seen it several times means that I think we got quite lucky there.
Okay.
But I did, just for completeness and in balance. I doubt there are any Palace fans listening, but just in case.
Fair point. All right, guys. So let's, again, Suhail and also I believe Kamal already led us to talk about the talk at half. So Matt, what were you thinking at halftime? Were you thinking changes needed to be made? I'm talking about right at halftime. He doesn't generally make changes going into the beginning of the second half with substitutions. Were you comfortable with where they were going into the second half?
Yeah, I mean, Suhail sort of touched on it. We were all in the same place, which was actually having gone the goal down to work our way back into the game. It felt like a bit of a gut punch when they scored, right? We'd had such a good start, then they went ahead, and it took us quite a long time to recover our composure. and I'm not entirely sure that we absolutely did, but we went back to the steady state of this is quite even. It's just, are we going to be able to get back into it? Cue wonder goal from Messi infused Wilson. And it's even Stevens, and they're getting tired, they're going to fade, we're going to do well. So we were all of the view, change absolutely nothing. The one side I think, actually I was thinking might be the difference, and was Josh King, whose movement and I think energy in pressing as well was something that perhaps would help Raul, who I thought Raul had been absolutely fine in the first half. I think he's taken quite a kicking on social media as well, which I don't think is right. He was up against.
No, I agree with that, Matt.
He was up against three centre backs. Honestly, all three of them I thought were excellent. Chris Richards, was doing a bit for flying the American flag. I thought he was excellent. He's harder to miss because of his massive afro. And Gahey and Lacroix looked.
Yeah, they're very good.
They look very, very good. You compare some of the defenders that we've seen turn up at the Cottage so far this season. Yeah. Raul was on his own against them, so I think he was going to be kept right. No, I think we were all of the view this has been a good half.
Yep,
we are optimistic about what's coming up.
Okay, all right, guys. So let's transition. Let's talk about the second half. Alex, I am going to give you the honors to talk about the disallowed goal and get your view when you were there. So watching it live, and I'll just share what I saw. Okay, watching it live, the way that it was coming down, I thought, I even thought to myself, they're going to look at this because I had a feeling someone was close. I saw what the Crystal Palace players were all up in arms about a potential handball. But I also saw in the back of my eye, I'm like, wait a minute, there might be an offside situation here because it was close. And it ended up being so. When you're at the ground, what were you when you were at Craven Cottage and the goal goes in back in that and a nice goal? What were you thinking?
So to be honest, it was one of those goals where right from the moment it's gone in, I was worried, and I know Matt was worried as well. So Matt quite rightly called the offside. I think he said it would be tight with Chukwueze. I noticed the handball because obviously it was earlier in the build-up, but it looked like Raul had properly reached out to kind of claim a free kick, and I thought if he's touched that, they're going to disallow it for deliberate handball. It's not like it's just an accidental thing, right? So straight away we weren't confident. And yeah, I mean, it proved right. I mean, what was really frustrating was that the margin at the end of this, it's like ridiculous.
A toe. It's a toe.
A couple of quick points as well, though. I just want to make. One is I think that's 3 games running now where just after halftime we've almost conceded. So against Sunderland, straight away they went that. Palace did the same.
That's right. I forgot to mention that they almost scored. That's right.
Right after halftime, right? So then there is something that needs looking at there. You do that 3 games in a row, that's a problem. And it is true that we got over that little moment and we really got into the game. And when we did score that disallowed goal, we were completely in the ascendancy. And as we've already discussed, we would have gone on to win that game. But it's worth thinking about because you can't do that 3 games in a row.
Especially when you think about the manager we're coming up against.
You just stole my thunder. I was going to bring that. Sorry. Matt, you stole my thunder. I was going to say you can't do that against Scott Parker because he did it against us with Bournemouth. That's actually
Sorry, Russ.
Matt, no, Matt. Matt and I actually thinking alike on something.
So, well, let's hope Marco's watching because he's had plenty of warning now. He's had a telling off for me for that happened 3 games, and you two have warned me about what Parker's going to be doing.
A ton of warning.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So after the disallowed goal, we've already talked a little bit about the mood, because it changes everything and might have given them a lift. So I'll go to you. So after this happens, what was going through your mind and what you were watching? Then we're going to talk about the substitutions. There's been a lot of criticism on the substitutions, but before that, just what were you thinking when this goal was disallowed, and what did you see as the reaction?
First of all, I didn't know what had happened because I couldn't see what they were looking at because it clearly when they were talking about offside, when they were up on the screen, possible offside, I thought, who on earth are they talking about? It couldn't be Iwobi because he was, there were lots of players in front of him. Yeah. And of course, it couldn't be Smith Rowe because the ball came back off the bar to Smith Rowe. So I was actually quite surprised when I saw it was Chukwueze, but I didn't see when they showed the line, I didn't see it properly. It's only afterwards when I got home and I took a look at it, I suddenly thought, you're kidding me. But in the ground, it was a gut punch. Russ, because as I say, we were like on our feet. I don't ever think about VAR in situations like that. I was like looking at the Palace fans, and that was the difference. I don't know if everyone else remembers. The Palace fans were pretty quiet. They had been so noisy up until after they'd scored. Then there's that period where we come right back into the game. They start to quieten down. Then we score, and you couldn't hear them at all. And after that, when the big roar went up, when the referee did the box, VAR, we're going to overturn it. You could feel it, the mood change in the ground. The Palace fans started to sort of, get more bouncy, jumpy. I wouldn't say our heads dropped, but you could tell it was disappointing. But what I noticed was when we scored, the Palace players sort of slumped. When they disallowed the goal, you could almost feel the change in the way they were playing. And no surprise, they started to play direct. It's like they said, okay, we got let off the hook here. Let's go for this now. And up until that point, as I said earlier, they were almost like they were playing for a point. They had all the players back. They were defending deep. And then after the reprieve, you could feel the change in atmosphere, and it got through to the Palace players.
Just a very quick point on that, Russ.
Go ahead, Alex.
I mean, so another thing that's absolutely true. There was a marked difference in the kind of the tone of the fans, the stadium change. But it took so long to make that decision. It took so long.
I hate that it takes so long, because it changes the mood, right?
You've got a pattern to the play, you've got a pattern to the game, and suddenly you stop everything for 5 minutes. It's a complete reset. So as well as that emotional thing we're talking about, it just took everything out. It was, it was ridiculous.
On a personal level, so I'm the opposite of Suhail, so I always start VAR first. Which is why, so for the Wilson goal, it's very clear there was going to be no VAR issue with that, right? It was right. Wonderful. So that goal, I assumed, because ESR, he just took, it's no criticism on, but he took a couple of extra touches trying to get the ball out from under his feet before releasing Chukwueze. Yeah. And at the time, it looked like Chukwueze was really battling to stay onside. So I thought, that looks like he might be really close to being offside. Therefore, this is all going to be a problem. And it went on for so long where they didn't even say there's a VAR check, that my point of celebration had gone from, I don't know, let's see, to now, I think we're winning. We're winning. This is great. Yeah. And it was a very depressing sort of for it to be vindicated, I'm afraid, my concern. Yeah. Real gut punch.
No, I definitely hear that. And Matt, I want to go back to you, because we've already talked about it, and you did a really good job talking about it. So I want to talk about it right in this stage. I want to talk about the Fulham substitutions next, but I want to go back and talk about the change in what happened with Crystal Palace. You've already talked a little bit about it. So through your eyes, when they made their substitutions, what did you notice?
So they'd lost total control of the game, right? And if I haven't watched the game back, but if I'm sure if watching that first 20 minutes or so, Eddie Nketiah, I mean, maybe he touched the ball, but the whole game suddenly was passing him by, and they had absolutely no control in the middle, where Berger and Iwobi were really starting to get on top of Kamada, particularly. I mean, Wharton was still able to play it out at pace every time, one touch and away. I don't think he took 3 touches consecutively in the game for the entire thing. His whole way of playing is like a sort of 2-touch or 1-touch, training exercise. Putting Jefferson Lerma on just meant that they had a block of 4. So they had Lerma and then the 3 central defenders. And it gave them so much grip in the game, and it allowed Kamada to drift a little further left. And from that point on, we could see that our shape was ruined, because they were able to find Tyreek Mitchell, who really had only been found once properly in the first half.
Yeah, all of a sudden he was everywhere. Yeah.
Exactly. And that, he'd only been found once by that weird and ridiculous outside of the left pass from Adam Wharton in the first half that led to the goal. And then suddenly he was wide open with regularity. So, hat tip to Glasner, who made the change. And I think Marco tried to follow him. I think actually, look, hindsight's a horrible friend here. And the subs that Marco made didn't work. Pretty much all of them I understood. I thought taking ESR off was a little unexpected, but at the same time, he was trying to get on Wilson, who is, quite clearly our man in form in front of goal.
Right.
He was trying to get Wilson closer to goal, Kevin in the last game against Man City made everything happen. So putting him on the left and Chukwueze, who was probably our most exciting player, again on the right. I understand the sense in it.
Just didn't work.
It didn't work for two reasons. One, Wilson couldn't get any space in amongst that Lerma back three triumvirate, and Kevin had one of his bad days when, it turns out Kevin's a bit bipolar, right? He's either, Ronaldinho the second, or he's Carlos Vinicius, and
Carlos Vinicius.
We've got a bit more Carlos Vinicius this time.
Yeah, no, very good. All right, Kamal, I want to get your thoughts on the substitutions, because there's been a lot of criticism. I'm glad that Matt did a very good job of describing it, because at the time I'm not thinking that the substitutions were terrible. They just didn't work.
Once again, we were listening on the way back home. We were listening to Tony's. Tony was on fire. Tony's Inferno. You spend all that money on a player like Kevin.
Yeah, I know.
He's a load of rubbish. We're Tony, you have said he's very good at some point, so you're what he is. But Tony was right, and the one thing I agreed with him is with Kusi Asare. He's never been given a chance. Who's going to be pulled back by Bayern Munich?
Yeah.
And what he does, he just plays the same. He plays the same way, Marco. Yeah. And then when subs time come, I think, okay, it's Marco o'clock now, because he banged it in. He banged the subs in at the right time. I think it was 70th minute, around the 70th minute. He didn't want to completely, remove people, and he wasn't playing attack. When somebody does that, they're not playing a tactical game. They're playing standard. They're not saying, okay, we could change this isn't working. And I do think ESR. I've knocked ESR, but I do admire what he does. And there was one thing that Tony said, which was take somebody like ESR off, who's some of the invention of the team at the moment.
Yeah.
And to take him off, why would you take him off? And I think we just seem to run out of steam. And the other side of it, he put Tom TC on.
He brought in Tom Kearney, you're right.
And I thought, TC. I said, whenever TC's on.
And he brought on Adama.
But when Tom comes on, a lot of it's usually about holding strength in midfield, which means, I think, who was it? Sal was saying that Palace were playing for a draw. But I thought maybe, South, we were playing for a draw, which was, you should be, 1 point isn't enough where we are. We should be sending all guns a-blazing in these matches.
Totally agree, Kamal. All right. So now I want to talk about their second. Matt, I do want to.
Did you guys talk to Sahel?
Well, I'm going to go to Sahel.
Okay, right.
No, trust me. Sahel will be a part of the discussion, but I want to go to Matt first, just because I've talked to Matt about this issue before. So I want to go back to it. Talk about zonal marking. We've had this discussion. You said you understand why they do zonal marking. So I was very critical of it. I want to get your thoughts on the goal here. And I know that there's a method to the madness, but if it isn't working, shouldn't we consider something different?
Our set piece, our corners for us are disastrous in both directions, right? We are
yes, terrible.
Kamal used the word blunt earlier. I would describe us as fucking hopeless, to use the right language, when it comes to attacking corners. Excuse my French for those in America before the watershed. Defending them, we're a little bit better. Look, the reason I support, in as much as I do, zonal marking, that has been borne out a bit this year, is that you don't give away penalties if you're zonal marking, right? So most penalties given at a corner are given for situations where people have got a man each and they basically grapple them. We had that one against Manchester United, but that was, that Calvin Bassey gave, but that was very clearly because it was against Manchester United, rather than a fair hearing. I don't know. Look, we're not a big team. Palace aren't especially big either. The delivery on the corners from Iwobi, I'm afraid, was not good. No. We do miss Sasa Lukic from that point of view. His corners, in the post-Pereira, pre-end the Berger Lukic double pivot, the corners from Sasa Lukic were really good. we're back to really, really bad corners again, and we're not that great at defending them either. So, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Suhail, I want to get your thoughts on the end of the match.
Yeah, sure. Let me just on the sub front. I totally.
Go ahead.
I think he blew it big time. I think he blew it big time. Should never have taken ESR off. Should never have moved Wilson into the middle. Wilson was having much more effect on the wing, and he shouldn't. I don't think he should have taken Chukwueze off. The sub he should have made, I think, should have been pulling Raul and putting on Kusiasari. And here's an interesting point for you, Russ. Matt and I were talking during the break, and we just both agreed that Matt called it a project. That loan should be terminated in January. And
I agree with it. He's not going to play him. He's not going to play him.
Yeah, he's not going to play him. Just bring in get that other striker in. But there's no point in keeping him around. That's the sub he should have made. Now, the zonal marking, I'll disagree with Matt on the corner front. One of the things that I find about the Hammersmith end is you can't see really what's happening at the other end that well. And my friend Michael, who sits in the Riverside, much closer to the end, he said in the first half our corners were causing chaos within the Palace. He said the Palace defenders were all over the place when the corners were coming in. So they may. I mean, we can't see it. We just see the ball going in. I don't know where it goes, but it sounds like they were having an effect. Now, with the goal we conceded, I would concede that zonal marking did not work, and I suspect there is something very wrong with the way we handle corners, because when we first came up, we had one of the best defensive records against corners. That may have something to do with Mitrovic being there, but I don't know. That's what the statistic was.
But that's a while
now. Sorry?
Or Stuart Gray, who was
That's actually a very good point, Matt. I'm glad that Matt brought up Stuart Gray. We don't talk about Stuart Gray. Maybe his missing is causing issues too.
But I get into a cold sweat now every time we concede a corner, because something is going to happen, and the amount of goals we've conceded is not.
Didn't Arsenal beat us from a corner too?
Yeah, Arsenal beat us. I mean, we get it. And Gay is not the tallest player in the world, and we do have tall players. We've got Sander Berger, we've got Joachim Andersen, we've got Calvin Bassey. These players Raul can jump too. I just don't get it. I don't. When I looked back on that goal, it's like Gay no one was on him. And then finally, Anderson, when it happens, when he scores, Anderson is rushing towards him from behind. But it's the zonal marking system that's caused the problem, because they're not picking men up. They're just standing in a particular position around the area, thinking that's going to be good enough to pick up the goal. So I share your frustration, and I know it came out very strongly in your post-match show. But I think I
came out really strong.
Yeah,
probably too strong.
They have to look at this, because it's becoming, not just an Achilles heel. It's becoming almost a regular event now that we concede from corners.
I mean, the reality is they scored their chance from a corner. We actually had a very good chance. Michael will probably referring to this.
Yeah.
In the first half, there was a corner that ended up coming to Iwobi and dropped for a volley for him from basically on the penalty spot.
Daisy cutter.
And he sort of scuffed it straight at the keeper. And the reality is, that's a really good opportunity that he just didn't connect with.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And for me, and again, the reason, going back to you, Sahel, the reason why I was very critical of the zonal marking is that the way that I look at it, and I try to put myself. I'm not a manager. I couldn't be a coach, but I know if something wasn't working, I would try to fix it. And I think if you keep doing the same thing, I think you need to really analyze not just what the players are doing wrong, but maybe what the coaching. And I'm glad that Matt brought this up. Maybe we are missing Stuart Gray more than we think. Maybe that's a part of this, and causing some havoc, because that was his thing. That was really Stuart Gray's thing. So that could be a factor in all this. All right, guys, to finish up the show, let's just talk about how you're feeling after the match. I know it can't be good. So I'll go to you first, Suhail. You came all this way to see the match. How are you feeling?
I was pretty gutted, actually. I think I was the only one left of us lot everyone else had gone. And because I know Kamal and Alex had to get to the party. I went to turn to Matt and he'd gone too. So
I left with about 10 seconds, so I was still in the
yeah.
stand while the whistle went. But yeah.
No, I was gutted because I thought this was a game we could have won. I thought we sort of just conspired to lose it rather than sort of, Palace being brilliant. And I don't know. I hate to say this because it sounds like I'm sort of like playing the victim here, but we just seem to be so unlucky with things. And this was another case where I thought another unlucky game where, if we'd scored if Chukwueze had cut his toenails that night, we could have been, we could have won the game 2-1.
Yeah.
Sorry to be so gross, but you know what I mean. It seems so unlucky, and it's the sort of thing we think, you don't want to think like that. But at the end, I really was gutted more, and also just realizing this is the third time this calendar year that Crystal Palace have beaten us at Craven Cottage. I mean, isn't that a horrible sort of
terrible
thought to take away? So anyway, that's how I felt at
if
the
you
end.
If you want to have some balance to that, Suhail, so
go ahead, Matt.
Crystal Palace in 2025 have won more away games than any other team in England.
Wow.
Yeah, that's because they've beaten us 3 times at Craven Cottage.
3 of them been against us, but yeah, Arsenal have won 9, and this is in the Premier League. Arsenal have won 9, so actually the FA Cup one doesn't count.
Wow.
Arsenal won 9, and Crystal Palace won 10. So they are the best away team in the Premier League, and we help them out with that quite often.
Haven't only one of Fulham or Crystal Palace beaten the other as the home team in the last 12 games or something? Like whoever.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay. Very, very good. All right. Over to you, Kamal. What were you thinking after the match?
I don't want to say that word. I don't know if it's allowed on YouTube or on your podcast.
Okay.
But I think we went
Chelsea.
Yeah, just say you felt like Chelsea.
So I was thinking, Chelsea. No, I was thinking, it's the same old story with Fulham. Fulham fans are very emotional because we've had highs, but we've also feel that we've been beaten black and I won't say blue, but we've been beaten, horrible. And the fans were leaving 5 to 10 minutes before the end. You could see them piling out. And I thought, I wasn't distressed, but I was more distressed when I thought about the predicament we're in, our position, how we're all going to draw us back. And I tell you what, I was almost suicidal after listening to Tony and you talk in the show but look, it's better.
It was right after the show, right after the match.
It's better that you can call, a spade rather than kind of get fanciful. And for me, I'm not emotional about the Fulham performances.
Yeah.
I just know 2 or 3 things can change our team. Strikers, because I think we've got amazing players, and running ESR, giving some of those young players, I agree with Tony, more of a run out, and maybe sorting out the scenario with Marco, because I don't know, all the team. Everybody says the team gravitates towards him. They move as one, and if his head and heart are wavering week to week, because Iwobi was just not. I mean, everybody knows African nations coming up, but I didn't see the Iwobi that I saw against City, and we don't know, what's going on in the background.
No, we don't.
I prefer to be a realist about all this stuff.
Okay.
The rest of the guys on this podcast are very emotional. I'm like, hey, buckle up, guys.
Okay.
Get with the ride.
All right. Fulham. Alex, how are you thinking? How are you feeling?
I kind of weirdly, I find myself having to agree quite a lot with Kamal. Which
wow.
Wow. I've got to check myself here, but no, I mean, so basically, I'm worried because Leeds are starting to play well. Forest and the Dyche are doing okay. They had a bad weekend, but they're picking up points. West Ham, that's another thing we didn't mention. A few minutes before kickoff, it looked like West Ham had beaten Brighton, and suddenly we're 2 points off the relegation zone, basically. Luckily, that ended in a draw. But, our next 3 games, we've got Burnley away, Forest, and I think West Ham just after Christmas. Suddenly, that's massive.
They need 9 points. I'm going to say it right now. They need to win all 3.
100%. And the thing is, if we'd beaten Palace, which I was so sure we were doing, you're looking up and starting to think about points records again, frankly. And instead we're really looking over our shoulder. And what I don't want to happen is that the negativity starts to feed on itself. And because Suhail's right as well, we have been playing quite well. If you look at those last 2 games, we deserved something out those last 2 games. The 2 games before that, we got 2 wins away at Spurs, So there are positives, and it's important that we don't start putting ourselves into a death spiral before, unnecessarily. So I think we've just got to try and keep the faith, be as positive as possible. We do need a striker in January, but we've got to win these next 3.
Okay, very good. All right, great show, guys. I've really enjoyed this. Before we go, I just want to share one thing that I was actually thinking about doing a separate episode about, but I'm just going to share my thoughts on this to end the show. It's been bothering me all day. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch the video with Steve Sidwell. Steve Sidwell actually on, I believe it was on Sky Sports after the match, basically was talking about how he believes that Marco views Fulham as a stepping stone. I'm paraphrasing, but he went into all this that basically Marco should be looking for a top 6 team. They were talking about it. And I think the issue that I have with the talk from someone even like Steve Sidwell, who played for Fulham, is that this is the type of stuff that I want to not be part of the narrative. It is part of the narrative that Fulham are a stepping stone, and I don't think we supporters should be accepting it. If you look at Crystal Palace, they're fighting the same thing. Look where they are. And I think we should be pushing back to people like Steve said, well, I don't care if he played for Fulham. I think he should shut his trap, on stuff like this. I was very upset that he said this because it's part of this narrative that needs to change. We should not be accepting Fulham as a mediocre Premier League club. We deserve all better. And that's one of the reasons why I like doing the show with you, is because I want to hear the voices of the supporters. I was very disappointed by what Steve Sidwell said. He's entitled to his opinion, but it's one that is too common in the media, too common, and needs to change. Fulham should not be treated like a stepping stone. I know it's the reality, but it needs to change. And I just wanted to get that off my chest. Okay. All right. Anyways, great show, guys. Matt.
Wait. What are the other 4 takeaways?
What? The other 4?
Yeah,
I don't know. I can't.
Takeaways.
I can't think. I'm tired. Come on. I can't even think of
I'm
5
sorry.
takeaways.
Can I just say something about what you just said?
Go ahead.
The one thing I love about Tony Gold, he doesn't care about the players. He doesn't care about the manager. He just cares about the club.
I know.
That's the most important thing. I know if a player does something wrong, or if a manager does something wrong, starts talking about moving, off, get out.
No.
I find it very funny they're talking about Marco being a top 6 manager when he's now managing a team that looks like they're going into a relegation battle. Find that Steve Sidwell is as stupid as he looks. Oh, and by the way, Russ, we are winning the next 3. I'll tell you that now.
Okay.
Win the next 3.
Okay.
So
okay.
My credibility's on the line here. We will win the next 3.
Okay. If we win the next 3, Suhail, I'm going to find myself up to Canada to shake your hand. Okay?
I'm afraid I'm going to say I don't think we're going to win any of the next 3.
Oh, okay. And then there's the counterbalance from that. Okay.
which I'm not happy about. Obviously, I think we will miss Iwobi and Bassi and Chukwueze desperately.
I agree.
And
with that.
the big criticism on Marco has to be lack of youth players coming through, and he doesn't understand how to rotate a squad. And we're about to say goodbye to our central midfielder, and we've got a out of form, low on confidence Sasa Lukic, and 2 non-playing midfielders in Kenny and Reed as plan B, and we've got a Carabao Cup quarter-final away at West Ham, home to Nottingham Forest. It's Lukic and Berger time, I'm afraid, everyone, which is a bloody disaster.
Oh, I don't even want to talk about it.
That's the midfield that we
talk about changing the mood.
Just to cheer you up there, Russell.
Oh my God, my mood went from here to like.
I'm going to cheer you up, Ross, by giving man of the match to Emile Smith-Rowe. Just like I thought you never thought you'd
forget about
me.
that.
Well, wait a minute. I didn't do Emile Smith-Rowe. Alex, you just made my night. Wait a minute. I have to go to Kamal. Kamal, who's your man of the match?
No, please get me last.
Come on.
Please.
Okay.
That's a bit on the spot.
Okay, Suhail.
Yeah, I would say ESR, but if not ESR, Calvin Bassey had some great moments yesterday. Really good moments where he stifled the attack. I'd give it to him as well. And I said to Tony Gold, please stop calling our defense bang average. They ain't. The problem we have with conceding goals is because we don't have a striker that scores, it puts that much more pressure on the defense. So, we got a very good back line, and, I'm glad to have them.
Okay. Matt, who was your man of the match?
It's close. I'm going to go Chukwueze, who I just thought was
I went with Chukwueze.
A live wire for the entirety of his performance. It was a shame he went off, but I think he and Iwobi had faded quite badly. Iwobi, especially second half, was out on his feet, and Kearney should have been brought in earlier, or an alternative.
Okay.
But there we go.
All right, Kamal, it's up to you. Kamal.
We can't hear Kamal.
Come on.
I think that my man of the match, because Alex gave me a tenner and cooked me a nice meal, has got to be Harry Wilson for scoring probably the best goal we'll see.
Okay, good. All right. You get it.
Russ, who are you giving it to?
I was going with you. I was going with Chukwueze.
All right.
Okay,
what Wayne in the comments, who claims to be in the know, which I'm not doubting, I'm just putting it as an allegedly, has noted that if we lose the game against Burnley, then Marco Silva will be sacked. As
I've
I don't
heard
buy that, but let's see.
I don't agree with that, but Wayne seems to know some stuff. Who knows? We shall see. We shall see. All right. Great show, guys. I really enjoyed it. It's funny. We're about to finish up, and 118 people are watching with us. So you guys have made an impact. So I want to thank all of you for joining me. I also want to thank the Better Brother for joining us. Sorry. For Suhail. I know.
Two comments there, Russ. Matt yesterday said only one person was watching us, and he had to be corrected by Ben, who said actually on the last one it was 166 views. And secondly, 2-0 at Turf Moor. You heard it here.
Okay.
2-0 Turf Moor.
I will take that. All right.
Is the next one the last one before Christmas?
Yeah.
Yep.
Can we all wear Santa hats for the next one?
Sure, if you want.
Christmas.
Sure.
Can you get a Christmas soundtrack and a Christmas special effects?
I can see what I can do.
I want to do a rough and the smooth with Tony Gold, where I'm Santa and he's the Grinch. I can't wait for that.
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. Oh, we can make that happen. We'll make that happen. Anyways, listen, great show, guys. I do want to mention before we go, and I hope people are watching us on YouTube. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. That doesn't cost you anything, so please do subscribe. And as I mentioned earlier, if you want to listen back to the podcast, please do subscribe on the Cottage Talk Patreon page. We'd love to have you join us, so please do subscribe there. All right, guys, it's been a great show, but it is time to wrap it up. For the guys from the Hammersmith end and Suhail, I'm Russ Coleman. Thank you, as always, for watching and listening to Cottage Talk.
Thanks.